Hey guys, how are you? I hope you are doing well. I hope you are staying healthy. What we have going on right now is I have our new puppy keeping us crazy busy, but she's so much fun. Just a ball of fur and just the cuteness I cannot get enough of. Um, and the boys are being awesome. They are being very, very helpful, which makes it great for when I have to make these videos for you guys. So getting on to what we have going on today. Um, another math video dealing with volume of shapes, and these shapes are called composite figures. So the two shapes that we're working with, you can take a look at the diagram. They both have a hemisphere, so half a sphere, and then one's a cone, the other one's a cylinder. So let's go ahead and get started with our first example. What we have is a cone and a hemisphere, and if you remember, what we are going to do is we are going to find the volume of each and then add them together because, again, it's asking for the total volume. I'm going to go ahead and start with the cone. So for the cone, I'm going to take the formula, which is V equals 1/3 pi r squared h, okay, and make my substitutions. So focusing on just the cone itself, the radius is right here. So it'll be the same radius that's used for the hemisphere, and the radius is 3. And the height is labeled as 7. So that is what I'm going to substitute into my formula. So I have 1/3 pi, instead of having r, it'll be r, or I'm sorry, 3 squared times 7 for our height. And then just to work this out, we start with exponents, so that's 3 squared, which is 9. The next step here is we're going to multiply together all of our coefficients. And so just using the calculator to help me, 1 ABC 3 times 9 times 7, we get 21. So this one is 21 pi. Again, if you don't have a TI-30, you could use any calculator. Oops, cut that one off. We have 21 pi. Then what I'm going to do is calculate 21 in pi. And when I do that, I move my calculator off too quickly. So 21 times pi, and we'll round to the hundredths. I have 65 and 97 hundredths. And this is cubic inches. Next is going to be my hemisphere, which is really half a sphere. And to do this half sphere, I'm going to use the sphere formula, and if I look above, there it is. Volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So just grab that formula right there. And then filling in what my variables represent. So this one is going to be r. Taking a look at the radius, the radius is 3 for this hemisphere. So just I get 4/3 pi times 3 to the power of 3. And then starting with my exponents, 3 to the power of 3 is 27. Next, I'm going to multiply my coefficients together. So, just a quick reminder, if you didn't know how to do to the power of 3, it is right here. Power of 3 is 27, and I'm going to do times 4 ABC 3, and that's 36, so I have 36 pi. Next, I'm going to calculate that out and then round to the hundredths. So 36 times pi. I get 113, rounding to the hundredths, 10. But because it's half a sphere, I'm going to take this value and divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2, either way you do it. So I'm just going to, in my calculator, do divided by 2. And I get 56, and it looks like 55 hundredths. Cubic inches. My last step, it's a composite figure. Okay, so that means I'm going to have to find my total volume. So for this composite, I'm going to take my two values and add them together. And so in my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and just clear that out and do the 65 and 97 hundredths plus 56 and 55 hundredths. And I get 122 and 52 hundredths. And this is approximate. And put that label on here that I'm talking about cubic inches. There we go. And I accidentally just wrote on my table. Oops. There we go. It's all cleaned off. All right. So that's it for number 1. And I have another example for you. Problem number 2. So I'm going to divide my paper in half. And what I have on number 2 is a cylinder and that half sphere. So I'm going to start with the cylinder. And write down the formula. Pi r squared h. Next, I'm going to make my substitution. So I'm going to take a look at what I have right here. So we're going to start with the radius. And so for this radius, I'm given 12. But remember, 12 is not my radius. 12 is my diameter. So my diameter is 12. My radius is half that. So my radius is 6. Okay. The height is 13 right here. Okay. Let's go ahead and make the substitution. So I have pi times my radius, which is 6, so 6 squared, times my height, which is 13. I start with exponents to work this one out. So 6 squared is 36. Then I multiply my coefficients together. So 36 times 13, I get 468. Oops, there we go. Make sure all of this is squeezed on there. There we go. And my volume, 468 pi. The next thing I'm going to do is calculate to find, remember this is my exact answer with just pi. Then I'm going to go ahead and calculate with pi, and that's my rounded answer. So I'm going to just hit times pi. And then I'm going to go ahead and round this to the hundredths. So volume is approximately 1,470 and 27 hundredths. Again, cubic inches. Okay. Next is going to be the hemisphere. Hemisphere, half a sphere, whatever you want to call it. This time I'm going to go ahead and label it as hemisphere instead of half a sphere like I did last time. So just something a little bit different. The formula, I can just look up top. There it is, my sphere. 4/3 pi r cubed. The next thing I need to do is find the radius. So remember that the diameter is given to me. The diameter is 12. The radius is half of that, which is 6. So I'm going to be using 6 in place of r. So let's recopy. So I have 4/3 pi times 6 cubed. Okay. Start with the exponents. 6 to the power of 3. Okay. I hit enter and I get 216. So 216. And then, come on, switch this over, I think, so I have enough room on here. Kind of tight. Multiply this by 4/3. And I get 288 pi. So again, this is my exact answer of this hemisphere. The next thing I'm going to do is multiply this by pi. I get my rounded answer, and we're going to round to the hundredth. So 904 and 78 hundredths. Remember, this is the formula for a sphere, but we're doing half a sphere, a hemisphere. So I'm going to take this and divide by 2. That's a common mistake, so don't forget to divide by 2. And in my calculator, I'm just going to do divided by 2. And here we go. It is 452 and 39 hundredths. Then what I'm going to do, remember we have to find the composite volume. So the composite volume is adding this together. So I'm going to write out composite. I'm going to take my two volumes, 1,470 and 27 hundredths, and I'm going to add this to 452 and 39 hundredths. Add that up. That's my plan. So when I add this one up, what I have in my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and clear out and then type in exactly what I see on my notes. And when I get that, my final answer, my volume is approximately 1,922 and 66 cubic inches. Okay, that's it for these notes. Remember, if you have any questions, post it on Google Classroom or shoot me an email. One more quick reminder that you guys can go back and redo any assignments for a better grade. So I'll add some points on there when I see you doing that. Okay, take care, guys. I will talk to you and see you next time on the next notes.